Shana Tova. My name is Dan Jones, President of our congregation. On behalf of our clergy, Board of Directors, and staff of Congregation Beth Israel, I'd like to welcome you today. Before our services begin, I'd like to share some information with you in case you are a newcomer to our community. As you came on campus today, you were required to wear a mask. Entrance onto our beloved campus is conditional on all entrants age 2 and over wearing a mask. Masks are required both inside and outside, for the vaccinated and non-vaccinated. You will notice that our choirs and musicians will also be wearing masks. When they are on the bima, you will notice that our clergy and some service leaders are not wearing masks, but that is the only exception to our rule. Please know that our clergy and service leaders have all had and will continue to get tested just prior to each holiday. We have created multiple spaces on campus for you to observe the High Holy Days. Please find the one that most fits your comfort level in regards to social distancing. We ask that you please follow the instructions of our staff and volunteers regarding our social distancing guidelines. We respectfully require that if you are unwilling or unable to wear a mask while on our campus, that you participate in our High Holy Day observances through our extensive virtual offerings. In the unlikely case of an emergency, please note the exits at the rear of the sanctuary in each corner. These are in addition to the 3 entry doors at the front. The social hall has emergency exits at each corner of the room. Upon exiting, for whatever emergency, please move a safe distance away from the building and follow any staff member instructions you may be given. Thank you for your attention, thank you for your cooperation, and thank you for your understanding. The Shana Tova. May this be a good and sweet year for all of us.
everyone. Boker Tov. It's wonderful to see you here, to feel your presence outside in the courtyard and the chapel, in your homes in San Diego, all over the country and the world. We are so happy to be able to be together, no matter where we find ourselves, and celebrate this extraordinary day. Every day holds the beauty and wonder of the first day of creation. The high holidays remind us that new beginnings are precious and powerful. On this day, we begin our service with gratitude. We thank Adonai, the source of blessings, for the opportunity to start a new page of our individual stories. We will work with Adonai and one another to open our eyes and our hearts to new ideas, bring freedom to all people, stand strong and together against injustice, celebrate the image of God found in every person, give of ourselves to strengthen our communities, empower all people by honoring their voices. We thank you, Adonai, for these opportunities to bring blessings into this world. We thank you, Adonai, for filling this moment with potential. And we are grateful for our house of worship, for the place we call our second home. Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov, mishkenotecha Yisrael. How fair, how beautiful, how good are your tents, Jacob, your dwelling places, Israel.
Yaakov,
All of Jewish learning is Torah. Please join me in our prayer for the study of Torah. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who has made us holy through your mitzvot and commands us to soak ourselves in words of Torah. Elu devarim she'en lahem shiur, ve'elu hein. These are deeds that have goodness beyond what we can measure. They are seeds we plant in the world today so their fruit can be enjoyed by generations to come. Please join me. They are honoring our parents, doing acts of loving kindness, studying Torah throughout our lives, opening our homes to friends and welcoming strangers, celebrating with our community during happy times, comforting people who are sick or sad, praying from our hearts, and being peacemakers. And the study of Torah equals them all because it leads to them all. V'talmud Torah keneged kulam. We join together in Psalm 150, praising God for this day and all days. Page 135. Beautifully warmed up for our worship. Please rise, body, mind, or spirit, so that we can call each other to prayer. Baruch Hu, page 142.
Baruch
We join together. As the night gives way to day, a morning picture is painted across our sky. The sun comes up as morning uncurls, a wonder we can see and still wonder why. God, who makes the sun shine and stars glow, you renew the cycle of creation day by day, giving light to our minds and our eyes, time after time, with the dawn of each new day. Each thing that God creates, God renews each day with love and care. Through God's light, we understand the plan and wonder of this world, which we all share. Baruch atah Adonai, Yotzer Hamaorot. Responsively, God's love stretches from top to bottom. It stretches and grows and melds, the beginning and end.
God's love reaches from start to finish. It reaches and spreads, forgetting just where it began.
God's love teaches. With stories and laws and rules and prayers, it teaches us how to best live.
In love, we listen.
We too can stretch. We too can reach. And we too can teach as we seek the new year ahead.
Wrap us up in your peace like a great big talit. Hold us close with this prayer in your love. Baruch atah Adonai, habocher be'amo Yisrael, be'ahava. Please be seated. We join together on page 152. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levacha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'otecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi
tzavecha hayom al levavecha vishinantam levanecha v'dibarta ba'am v'shivtecha b'veitecha uvlechtecha v'derech uv'shokbecha uv'kumecha uv'shartam le'ot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot b'neinecha uktavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Liberation is a primary theme throughout Jewish civilization. The first type of liberation, our understanding, comes from our text. In Jewish sacred memory, we are instructed to remember that our birth story is that of liberation. As Moses tells the people, as soon as they have left Egypt, remember this day when we went out of Mitzrayim from the house of slaves, for with a strong arm God brought you from this place. So we ask ourselves on this Rosh Hashanah morning, what are those personal moments of enslavement for you? Where did you feel trapped with your friends or family or loved ones, or in a situation that kept you enslaved? How have those moments denied you, each of us, of the ability to transcend the challenging moments of life? And what will be your personal liberation this coming year? What is it that you're looking to strive for? Where are you looking to expand? Where are our narrow places? Take a moment as we come into, to think deep as we come into this time, singing Mi Chamocha, joining together on page 164 as we sing to acknowledge our expansiveness, our potential.
Mi chamocha b'elim Adonai, mi chamocha nedar b'kodesh, norot tehilot osei veleh.
Shira chadasha shibechu Leshimecha al sfat hayom yachad kulam hodu vehimlechu ve'ameru
Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed.
Our Amidah, our standing prayers as we come to it this time, traditionally expressed individually on this day, are chanted as one voice, in community, together, allowing us to reflect on our gratitudes and subsequently request the essentials that might be missing: health, peace, and the list goes on. But the rabbis crafted the Amidah on a personal and later communal hope that it is up to each of us to take action for the prayers by doing the footwork that we choose to take on. So as we're standing and as we're in the conversation of these prayers, I invite you perhaps to add your own. One based in gratitude, one based in an opportunity, as I like to call it, for us and for God. I invite you to please rise if you are able, as we join together on page 166.
Adonai, Sefatai Tifta, Ufi Agitei Latecha. Adonai, Sefatai Tifta, Ufi Agitei Latecha. Zochreinu lechaim
Will you please be seated? The most intense and often melodic part of the Unatana Tokef prayer comes in the second paragraph with the words that we are about to sing, the Rosh Hashanah. On Rosh Hashanah it is written, and on Yom Kippur it is sealed. Then begins the list of who shall live and who shall die, and how. Many of us feel as though we've been through different and wonderful, challenging times in our life. Perhaps so many of us feel the past year and a half concentrated most of those challenges in these recent moments. But instead of counting the ways we might die, perhaps this year we check off the ways in which we might live, working together to ensure that cruelty, hunger, and disease are erased from this earth, and that all people are treated with dignity, honor, and respect. The Unatana Tokef prayer reminds us that our lives are not always in our control, but through our actions, we can find blessing, hope, and forgiveness. Unatana Tokef kedushat chayom, ki hu nora vayom. Rosh Hashanah yikatevun uyom sikporim yichatem.
Rosh Hashanah yikatevun ubiyom tzom kippur ubiyom tzom kippur yichatevu berosh Hashanah yikatevun ubiyom tzom kippur ubiyom tzom kippur
I invite you to read it on the screens as we join together. Today, you open the book of life so that we can read what is written on its pages. Today, you ask us to open our hearts and reflect on what we have said and done this past year. On Rosh Hashanah it is written, and on Yom Kippur it is sealed. But throughout the year, the book of life is open, and the choices we make leave a mark on our world. And so we ask ourselves and each other, who will choose to live a good life, whose hands will cause hurt, and whose hands will help heal? Who will speak up, and who will be silent? Who will be wise enough to learn from others? Who will be strong enough to make good choices? Who will be greedy, and who will be grateful? Who will break people down, and who will build people up? Who will choose to be a blessing?
Rosh Hashanah yikatevun ubiyom tzom kippur
ותשובה, תפילה וצדקה מעבירים את רוע הגזרה. We join together. Through return to the right path, through prayer and through righteous giving, we can earn a new page in the book of life and write a better story in the new year.
Looking back on the journey that we carry in our hearts, from the shadow of the mountain to the waters that would part. We are blessed and we are holy. We are children of Yahweh, and the words that bring us meaning, we will have the strength to say. Ador Vador Nagid Alecha. Ador Vador, we protect this chain. Generation to generation. Ador Vador, these lips will praise your name. Ador Vador, these lips will praise your name.
I invite you to take a few moments for your own silent reflections.
In the days the temple in Jerusalem stood, the Kohanim, the spiritual descendants of Aaron, the guardians of the temple ritual, would offer the priestly blessing, the Birkat Kohanim. For the past several years, we have had the privilege of having our Cantor Emeritus, Shelley Merrill, of blessed memory, honor us with our Birkat Kohanim. His presence, along with our connection with the Kohanim throughout the generations, they are all surely with us at this moment. The words remain. The meaning remains. And our sincerity remains. As we bless you with this Birkat Shalom, a blessing of peace, kindness, and grace.
Our God, divine presence whose path our ancestors walked, bless us now with words first bestowed on Israel at the time of Moses and Aaron, the threefold blessing giving us through Torah that joins our hope with theirs. May God bless you and protect you. Yair Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka.
May you receive the light of God's kindness and grace.
Yis Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom.
May God's presence be with you all. May you be granted health and long life, the courage to fill that life with much joy, with much blessing and peace. Amen.
Amen.
Lashana Tova.
Shana Tova.
My name is Dan Jones, and I humbly serve as the president of our congregation. And now the moment you've all been waiting for, or at the very least, my mother has been waiting for, the president of the board of directors' High Holy Day remarks. I know the anticipation of this moment has probably been keeping you up at nights, or maybe that's just me, it's been keeping up at night. And kids, in the time-honored tradition of these remarks, you now have about 5 minutes to go to the bathroom. Here we are, High Holy Days 2021, 5782, or as it's known in the hundreds of internal communications that have gone back and forth in preparation for this year, HHD 2021. The preparations for today began almost a year ago. In fact, they began the day after Yom Kippur ended. This is a massive undertaking. As I think about the efforts that go into our High Holy Day planning, I think about the recently ended Summer Olympics. I'm not a big sports fan, but I do love the Olympics. There's something about the world coming together in the spirit of friendship, cooperation, and friendly competition that's always resonated with me. As the months and weeks leading up to the start of the Olympics went by, the organizers were faced with the reality that neither they nor the world were ready to return to pre-pandemic methods and operations. I can only imagine their disappointment. We all crave to live again in those before times. Our clergy, our staff, and you, our membership, have gone through that same disappointment. But the world continues to turn. Even in the days leading up to the start of the Olympics, massive changes were made as in-person audiences were banned from many of the proceedings. As I work alongside our staff and clergy in the days leading up to our High Holy Days, and we make fundamental changes to our plans daily, we feel their struggle, their challenge, and yes, their disappointment. But the world continues to turn. The goal is the end result, to hold our worship together in the way we need it to be at this moment in time. As in life, there is no one-size-fits-all solution to how we can successfully conduct High Holy Day worship. Your clergy, your staff, and your board have done the very best we can to bring us to this moment. This moment in time is important. This moment in time is meaningful. And this moment in time is critical to the growth and evolution of our Beth Israel community. I'm a detail person. When people say, "Don't sweat the small stuff," it's all small stuff. I don't see that as an assurance that I should lighten up. I see it as a reminder not to miss anything. In college, I studied cinema and photography. We spent a lot of time studying the idea of the visual frame. What goes in the frame? What's seen in the frame? How does the frame of view benefit or tell the story? As president of our congregation, I must constantly remind myself to zoom out of my current frame, to see the larger picture, to gain perspective on the larger landscape, and perhaps to try and get some idea of what's coming just outside of our current frame of reference. We cannot and must not let our current uncertainties allow us to lose sight of the importance, magnitude, and inevitability of the future. The survival and continued operation of Beth Israel through the pandemic have demonstrated what a strong, agile, and innovative community we are. It has also demonstrated that you, our membership, have an ever-growing set of needs, expectations, and aspirations for Beth Israel as the center of Reform Judaism in Southern California. That growth requires study. That growth requires change. That growth requires evolution. And that growth requires financial commitment. 2 years ago, we made the shift from a required dues model to pay to your heart's content, suggested dues model. We have a disconnect between our aspirations to inspire, lead, and grow, and the way that we financially support our synagogue. Our legacy is rich, but as we've shown time and time again during the last 19 months, our future is unknown and can be uncertain. To be frank, giving to our heart's content is not enough. It will not allow us to grow and evolve. Our beautiful campus is just over 20 years old. She is magnificent. She is inspiring. She is our second home. And she also needs a great deal of work to her deferred maintenance. We need to give and contribute as we can for the future of Beth Israel. In the next few months, you'll be hearing about the process of formulating our new strategic vision. Once created, this strategic vision will hopefully guide us through the coming decades' growth and prosperity here at Beth Israel. We live in the present, but now is the time for us to begin to focus on the future. As our plans come to fruition, there will be opportunities. When that time comes, if you're able, please consider making a meaningful contribution. But it all begins with membership. To our current membership, I thank you for being in community with me and with all of us. If you're not a member of our synagogue, I want to thank you for worshiping with us today, and if possible, would like to encourage you to join us as members. I can't conclude my comments this morning without once again thanking our clergy and staff. In the before times, they were already considered best in class for the amazing commitment to excellence that they bring to our Beth Israel community. As with all of us, none of them could have been prepared for the events of the last 19 months. While navigating their own personal and familial concerns, they continue to lead, educate, and innovate, and to put it simply, get the job done. The lengths they've gone through at times are unseen and sometimes underappreciated. In these days of contemplation and reflection, please take a moment to thank God for their dedication and devotion to keeping Beth Israel our spiritual center, vibrant, functional, and most importantly, alive. Now, if you are wondering where the end of these remarks were, here they come. So if you're trying to get back to your seat before the Avinu Malkeinu, because seriously, that's what you're here for, not to listen to me, now's the time to hustle back and take a seat. On behalf of your board of directors and my fellow officers, the talented and incredible staff of Beth Israel, and my family, Stacy and Alex, and my parents who are also here today, L'Shana Tova Tikatevu, I hope it is a healthy and sweet new year for you and your family. May it be a year of health, a year of happiness, and a year of hope and peace. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dan, for those beautiful, inspiring remarks. Avinu Malkeinu, while holding a communal emphasis, still invites us to stand as individuals in front of God, focused on the idea that each of us echoing that those words are created b'tselem Elohim, in the image of God. Yes, this past year has been a stirring reminder that it is our sacred obligation to ensure our society recognizes the dignity, the rights, and the infinite worth of every person. This year also has presented us with a dark reality. We still have a long way to go. As we seek to rebuild the covenant that ties us all together, we are left with essential questions about how to elevate dignity across difference, transcending age and stage, color and creed. We need to be asking ourselves, how might I better hear the cry of the other? How might I better lift up the infinite value of those who look and act differently than me? This year, Avinu Malkeinu reminds us of our covenantal responsibility to elevate the dignity and the divine value of all those in our society, however different they may be from us. Page 223. I invite you to please rise.
Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Chadesh Aleinu, Shana Tova, Avinu Malkeinu, Shema Koleinu, Shema Koleinu, Shema Koleinu.
Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Choneinu V'aneinu, Ki ein banu ma'asim. Aseh imanu, tzedaka v'chesed. Aseh imanu, tzedaka v'chesed, ve'oshienu. Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Choneinu V'aneinu, Ki ein banu ma'asim. Aseh imanu, tzedaka v'chesed. Aseh imanu, tzedaka v'chesed, ve'oshienu. Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Choneinu V'aneinu, Ki ein banu ma'asim.
As we turn in our prayer books to page 227, we prepare for Seder Kriyat Torah, our Torah service, as we remain standing.
Avraham, Eitiva Virton Ha'eretz Zion, Tivnei Omot Yerushalayim, Tivnei Omot Yerushalayim, Ki Vecha Levad Batachnu, Melech Ram V'Nisa, Adon Olamim.
Adonai, Adonai, Erakum v'chanun, Erech apayim v'rav chesed v'emet, Notzer chesed l'alafim, Nosei avon v'pesha v'chata v'nakeh.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonai Shana Tova. This morning we read the story of the Akedah, the story of the binding of Isaac. We find our patriarch, Avraham, hearing God's call to take his son, his only, whom he loves, Yitzchak, and offer him as a sacrifice. But before he can complete the horrific task, an angel of Adonai calls to Avraham, telling him not to harm his son. The Akedah, however, is more than just a story of a test of faith. It is a story of awakening. Abraham is first awakened to God's voice with the word Hineni, the same word we said last night. Here I am. He is awakened again when his son Isaac says his first words in the Torah. Avi, my father, he meekly says. Abraham is awakened a third time when the voice of an angel of Adonai, not an angel of Elohim, the God voice with whom he had been in a relationship since he was first called to sacred service. Each of us has been faced this past year with a moment or two or 700,012 that seemed like a test of faith, when in fact, upon reflection, it was a moment of awakening. This Rosh Hashanah, I invite you to ask yourself, to what will I be awakened? For what will I be fully present? How will I make a first impression? How will I receive first impressions? Will I notice a name change? How can my awakening to the cries around me inspire all of us to sacred service?
We invite Stacy Tiras-Jones to call our Aliyot.
Good morning. It is my honor to announce the Torah readers and those chanting Aliyot this morning. For the first Aliyah, our Torah reader will be Katie Ditter. Chanting the blessing before will be Deborah, Michael, and Haley Ditter, and the blessing after, Sabrina and David Leitner.
Yamdu Harishon. We are on page 240. Baruch Adonai Borach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Ha'amim V'natan Lanu Et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Vayahi ahar hadvarim ha'ele v'cha Elohim nisa et Avraham, vayomer elav, Avraham, vayomer hineni, vayomer kafna, et bimchat yetecha, asher ahavta, et Yitzchak v'leilecha, el eretz hamoria, v'ha'alehu sham leola, al ahad harim, asher omar elecha, vayashkem Avraham baboker, vayahavosh et tamaro, v'yaka et shnei naro ito, v'eit Yitzhak beno, v'yavaka atseola, v'yakom v'ele el hamakom, asher amar lo ha'elohim.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chayei olam natan b'tehenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
For the second Aliyah, our Torah reader will be Kate Chasen. Chanting the blessing before will be Lauren Polgar, and the blessing after, Valerie Lehman and Ross Cohen.
Where are you starting? Vayomer Yitzchak.
Baruch Hu Adonai Hamvorach. Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Leolam Vaed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Verse 7.
Amen. Vayomer Yitzchak el Avraham aviv, vayomer aviv, vayomer hineni veni, vayomer hinei ha'esh v'ha'itzim, v'ayehazel le'ola. Vayomer Avraham Elohim Yirei lo hazeh le'ola v'ni, v'yalchu shnechem yachdav, v'yavo'u el hamakom asher amar lo ha'elohim. Vayiven sham Avraham et hamizbeach, v'ya'aroch et ha'itzim, v'ya'akod et Yitzchak b'no, v'yasem oto al hamizbeach, mima al ha'itzim.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chayei olam nata b'tohenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
For the third Aliyah, our Torah reader will be Jonathan Volrath. Chanting the blessing before will be Sophie Kelvin, Max and Zach Wendell, and the blessing after Jaden Hames, Ian Lehman, and Emma Valdez. These students had their B'nai Mitzvah during the pandemic and remained resilient in their milestone moment. We honor all of them as they come up to the Torah.
Yamdu Hashlishi.
et Adonai chamivorak.
Baruch Adonai Vorach Leolam Vaed.
Baruch Adonai hamvrak le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech olam. Asher bachar banu mikol chamim. V'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai notien haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Vayishlach Abraham. Vayishlach Abraham et yado vayikach et hamachelet lishchot et beno vayikra elav malach Adonai min hashamayim vayomer Abraham Avraham vayomer hineni vayomer al tishlach yadecha el hana'ar velo taslo me'uma ki ata yadati ki yireh Elohim ata velo chasachta et binchad yechidecha mimeni.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah.
Amen. With the Torah in our midst, we think about those who are in need of healing, and we invite our teens to lead us. And the rest of the choir.
my honor to call to the bima the Torah lifter, Dave Kuhn, and the Torah dresser, Jessica Cohen.
Please rise if you're able.
וזאת התורה אשר שמה Kadesh Yameinu Kegedem. Please be seated. Before I begin, I have an important ask to ask each of you. If you are sitting in this part of the congregation, Bima included, when I point to you, I want you to say, Cheery Bim. So let's try it. Cheery Bim. Well done. This half, Bima included. When I point to you, I want you to say, Cheery Bomb. Let's try it. Cheery Bomb. Cheery Bim. Cheery Bomb. Years ago, in a very unique village, it's always a very unique village, there were two major families, the and they were enemies. They fought about everything. They fought about the land, they fought about the water, they fought about cows, they fought about chickens, and they fought about horses. They fought over the air, and they were very stubborn. The and didn't talk to each other. They barely even looked at each other. Whether they were in the synagogue or in the village square, in meetings they would sit opposite each other and just glare or shout or scream. And this feud had been going on for years, decades, maybe even centuries. No one could really remember, though, how it all began. What started it? What insult had provoked the first? Be proud of your cheery bimness. To scorn the, or maybe it was the who scorned the. It was very long ago. Rabbi Kibbutz was the oldest and wisest of the leaders, and of course, students of our religious school know, rabbis are always the heroes of these stories. And she was tired of it. She was tired of the malice, the hatred, and all the tension and the fighting. So she decided to put an end to the problem. The and needed to come together to work out their differences. They were farmers. They worked the land. And they were neighbors, living so close, and yet they were so far apart. So what happened in those days? After a long rain, everyone in the village would go out into the woods to pick mushrooms. Brothers and sisters, fathers and mothers, aunts, uncles, cousins, grandmothers, grandfathers, everyone would go to pick mushrooms for their lunches. They would bring empty baskets, and they would hunt for wild treasure mushrooms. The little ones would find lots of different kinds of funguses, and the older ones would teach the younger ones which ones were delicious, which ones were disgusting, and which actually were poisonous and might kill you. So during the rainstorm, Rabbi Kibbutz sent a note to the asking them to join her for lunch in the forest after the rain. She also sent the note to the asking them to join her for lunch in the same place at the same time, thinking she could just bring them back together secretly. So early the next morning, as the rain finished, the rabbi put on her boots, put a basket over her arm, and marched into the forest. Finally, she would reunite these families. Her plan was first to find the, and then she'd find the, and they would work it out. But unfortunately, Rabbi Kibbutz forgot her glasses. So she was having a bit of a hard time seeing where she was going. Soon she came upon a group of people. Cheery Bim, she asked them. They shook their heads. They answered, sighing. The rabbi continued her search. So she decided to change her tactics. She would meet the Cheery Bam first, and then the Cheery Bim. So soon she came upon another group of people. Cheery Bam, she asked them. They shrugged. The rabbi muttered, wandering off. Cheery Bim Bam, Bim Bam, Bim Bam. Another group of people were asked, Cheery Bam? And they answered. The next group were asked, Cheery Bim? And they responded. Oh, the rabbi was getting so frustrated. I cheery, 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 bim, bam, bam. I cheery, 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 bim, bam, bam. Back and forth, the rabbi was racing through the forest. If she asked Cheery Bim, they answered. And if she asked for Cheery Bam, they answered. The Cheery Bim and Cheery Bam were very stubborn, but they loved an argument. And neither group liked to admit to anything. Maybe they were playing tricks on the rabbi or just being stubborn. Bim, the rabbi asked. Bam, they answered. Bam, the rabbi asked. Bim, they answered. Bim, bam, bim, bam, bim, bam. She began to spin about. She asked another group, Bam, and they responded, Bim. Bam, bim. Inconceivable! Bim, bam, bim, bam, bim, bam. The rabbi was running and twirling, almost dancing. I cheery, 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 bim, bam, bam. I cheery, beery, beery, bim, bam, bam. Her hair was everywhere. Her coat was flying. I cheery, 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 bim, bam, bam. Well, the Cheery Bim and Cheery Bam started laughing. They couldn't help themselves. Their rabbi, the wise old woman, remember, rabbis, very wise, not always very old. Their rabbi was acting like a chicken with her head cut off, like a frog trying to escape a pack of curious children, and all the time she was muttering to herself, cheery, beery, 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 bim, bam, 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 I cheery, 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 bim, bam, bam. And they laughed. And they grinned, and they smiled, and they listened. And then suddenly they looked up. Across the forest, they saw something they had never seen before. They saw each other, smiling and laughing and grinning. They looked at each other and they realized they all were the same kind of clothes. They all had the same hats and shoes. They all had baskets of mushrooms ready for a picnic. So the and the came together in the middle of the forest. They shook hands and they hugged. The story obviously taking place before COVID. And of course, they had lunch. And it was very delicious. When they were done, they lifted up their poor, confused rabbi up on their shoulders because she was a little too dizzy to walk still. And together, they carried her back to the village singing, I cheery, 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 bim, bam, bam. I cheery, 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 bim, bam, bam. From that day on, they were no longer known as the or the but as the cheery, 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 bim, bam, bam. Rabbi Hillel used to say, if I am only for myself, what am I? The Cheery Bim and Cheery Bam were only for themselves at the beginning of the story. But then they realized how similar they were and how much more joyful they could be if they found common ground, share a meal, and share a laugh. May 5782 be a year of not being just for ourselves, but for everyone in our extended families and communities. Shana Tova.
It is my...
As we prepare for our shofar service, a quick story. It doesn't involve parts. But once there was a student who sounded the shofar for his community. Before Rosh Hashanah one year, his rabbi challenged him to learn everything he could about the sounding of the shofar, from the basics all the way to the deeper mystical meanings of each sound. The student went and learned as much as he could. But when it came time to blow the shofar, however, he realized he had lost all his notes. His mind went blank. His eyes filled with tears, and it was with a broken heart and an empty mind that he simply blew the shofar. The rabbi assured him it was the best shofar blowing he could have ever hoped for. Every Jewish thought and every piece of Jewish learning is a key to one heavenly gate. A sincere heart is the master key, which takes you through all the gates. In a moment, we will rise, and I invite you, those here on campus and at home, to stand in mind, body, or spirit. Clear your mind and set your attention to the sound of the shofar.
It is my honor to call to the bima Mitch and Elizabeth Siegler, who will chant the shofar calls, and Steve Remish sounding shofar this morning.
Please rise.
Tekiah. Shvarim Trua. Tekiah. Tekiah. Shvarim. Tekiah. Tekiah. Teruah. Tekiah.
הרשת שפתנו ירב לפניך, אל רם רם ונישא, מבין מאזין, מביט ומקשיב, מביט ומקשיב לכל תקייתנו, ותקבל ברחמים, ברחמים וברצון, סדר, סדר, מלכויותינו.
Before we continue with our Zichro Notes section of shofar sounds, let's join together in our blessing. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lishmoa kol shofar. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה.
Shvarim Trua. Tekiah. Tekiah. Shvarim.
Malkeinu Yerav Lefanecha, El Ram Ram Benisa, Mevin Mazin, Mazid Makshiv, Mavid Makshiv, Lekol Tekiyatenu, Utekabel Berachamim, Berachamim, Ratzon, Seder, Seder, Zichronoteinu. Our final set of calls for the Shofarot.
Tekiah, Shvarim Trua, Tekiah, Tekiah, Shvarim, Tekiah, Tekiah, Teruah, Tekiah Gedolah,
Hareshet Sefateinu Yerav Lefanecha, El Ram Ram Benisa, Mevin Mazin, Mavid Makshiv, Mavid Makshiv, Lekol Tekiyatenu, Utekabel Berachamim, Berachamim, Ratzon, Seder, Seder, Shofarotenu.
Me again, shorter this time. It's my pleasure to introduce Kim Carnot and Mike Chasen, who serve on your board of directors. They're joining me on the bema this morning. Kim Carnot has what I hear is the best job in the synagogue, which is immediate past president, and Mike Chasen serves as the chair of your security and safety committee. Thank you to our choir for creating such beauty in our worship this morning. Thank you to our instrumentalists, Andrew Mayer, Buddy Voigt, Jeff Myers, and Kate Chasen, to our soloists, Heidi Gantwerk and John Volrath. And thank you to my incomparable and my much better half, Stacey Tyrus Jones, for announcing our honors in Aliyot this morning. We also especially thank Iris and Matthew Strauss as sponsors of our High Holy Day music, and Dr. Lisa Braun Glazer and Jeff Glazer for generously underwriting the purchase of our High Holy Day prayer books. Parking. Parking will be available in the Gateway parking structure. Please enter the Gateway parking structure through Beth Israel's main parking lot off of Golden Haven Drive, and then park on the lowest two levels of the garage. You'll need to pull a parking ticket and validate it prior to leaving. Parking validation machines are available as you exit services. Please do not enter off of Town Center Drive. You'll see these imposing signs that say, "No congregation parking, you will be towed." Those are meant to discourage you from going through that entrance, so don't do it. Come in through the normal synagogue entrance off of Golden Haven, please. We had some technical challenges with the exit gates last night. Some of our members may have, like our great leaders from the past, risen up to deliver us from the bondage of being trapped in the parking structure. Please don't do that again. This morning we have attendants at both exits at the top of the parking structure to provide exit assistance as needed. For those with disabled parking placards, there is limited parking in Beth Israel's main parking lot off of Golden Haven Drive. New this year, we do have overflow parking available at UTC Mall. Mall parking rates will apply. Our Rosh Hashanah celebrations continue. At 4 p.m. today, we will be having Tat Rosh Hashanah in the Price Family Courtyard. A little less days of awe and a little more like, oh, that's cute. So it's nice. Please consider joining us at 6 p.m. today for Tashlich at La Jolla Shores. And tomorrow morning, second day Rosh Hashanah services. That's right, there's more. We'll begin at 9 a.m.
And then Rabbi Navarez will also be leading a hike tomorrow at 11 a.m. Please check your ticket packets and our website for all upcoming service time and information. For questions throughout the day, please stop by our solutions table in the courtyard. And finally, I'd like to wish my parents, Roy and Evelyn, who are right out there, a very happy 52nd wedding anniversary today. L'shana tova tekatevu. Once again, I hope it is a healthy and sweet new year for you and your family.
We begin to conclude our service by turning to Aleinu L'Shabeach, page 286. I invite you to rise in mind, body, or spirit as you're able.
Aleinu L'Shabeach, L'Adon HaKol, L'Atet Gedula, Le'yotzer Bereshit, Shelo asanu kegoye ha'aratzot velo samanu kemishbechot ha'adama shelo sam chelkeinu kahem vegoraleinu kechol hamonam va'anachnu Shtachavim umodim lifnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu hakadosh baruch hu v'nei thoughts turn to those loved ones whom death has recently taken from us, those who died at the season in years past. Our hearts open as well to the wider circles of loss in our community and wherever grief touches the human family. Zichronam livracha. May all of their memories be for a blessing. We turn to page 292 for Kaddish Yatom, the mourner's Kaddish, noting our changed words for the High Holy Days. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shmei Rabbah, be'alma divrach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon u'v'yomechon, u'v'chayei dechol Beit Israel, ba'agala u'v'zman kariv v'imru, Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'alam u'lamei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal, Shmeit Kusha Brichu, Le'ela U'Le'ela, Mikol Birchata V'Shirata, Tushbechata V'Nechemata, Da'amiran Be'alma V'imru, Amen. Yehei Shlama Rabba Min Shemaya, V'Chaim Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael, V'imru, Amen. Oseh Shalom B'imromav, Uya Aseh Shalom, Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael, Ve'al Kol Yoshvei Tevel, V'imru, Amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved among us, or wherever they may be. And together we say, Amen. 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 I invite you to place your machzorim down, put your arm around the person next to you if you are comfortable in doing so, and joining us in our closing song, Hayom. Amen. היום תתמכנו במצדקך. Shana Tova.
Shana Tova.